And I'm Marcy Coburn, the creative director for Pier 70. And as you know, we have been celebrating in May Small Business Month. So we've been speaking with a lot of great local businesses on Pier to Pier this month. And today's guest is an advocate and organizer of small businesses. So many folks know Voss Caniris as the co-founder of the longtime furniture design small business called Zinc Details. But today, Voss is the executive director of the Fillmore Merchants Association and the director of business development for Next SF, a new organization that he's going to tell us all about. So thank you so much for joining us, Voss.
All right. Hi, Marcy. Thank you for
Hi.
having me. It's such an honor.
It's an honor to have you.
Thank you for featuring small business.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to talk all about small business. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience growing up as the son of a grocery store owner. I understand that you immigrated here with your family from Greece, and that your father actually ran a grocery store in the Mission and the Excelsior districts. Can you talk about what that was like and how that shaped you?
Yeah, super cool experience. I immigrated here when I was 7 from Greece. And my father had 2 grocery stores, one in the Mission, one in the Excelsior. I remember vividly, Marcy, like setting up my desk. It was a pile of beer cases and then another pile of Coke cases. And that's where I did my homework.
Nice.
While there were customers coming in and out. So, but you know what, when I look back on it, the takeaways were, yeah, we sold groceries, but it was more than that. It was kind of like a community hub. Mm-hmm. Our customers shared their challenges, successes in life, business, personal. We saw children growing up, graduating, getting married. I remember my father, he had a tab for people that couldn't afford groceries. You know, he would give groceries on credit. And in many ways, you know, I would say like stores, small businesses are more than just places of commerce. They're really the living rooms to our communities. So that was a huge takeaway. And I firmly believe that even to this day.
Yeah, I mean, you based your life around it in some ways, owning a small business and then advocating for them. So we like to think that most of the folks in our city, you know, support and adore our small businesses. We're drawn to them. What sparks that passion and that love that we feel for our neighborhood stores? Like, what do you think that's about? Is it this community hub idea you're talking about?
You know, in many ways, people may not know it, but when that's told to them, they're like, yes, of course, the community hubs. But, you know, I always say small business is big business in the city. You know, if you look at it economically, there's 90,000 businesses in the city, and half of them are considered small business. That means they employ 10 or less employees. However, these businesses employ 350,000 people here in the city. So it's a huge impact. So there are huge ripple effects, not only within the stores, but the vendors that service the stores and services. So it's a whole ecosystem. And I always say, like, buying habits make a huge difference, because if we change our buying by 1% to local shopping, it creates $100 million back to the local economy. So that's on the economic level. But if we look at it on a personal level, San Franciscans are proud of their merchant corridors, their neighborhoods. You know, the neighborhoods are really the gems of the city. And we're really proud of our small businesses, because that's what makes their neighborhood special. And people see that, you know, they want to support the special businesses that exist in our corridors.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I was driving down the I-5 from LA to San Francisco last weekend, and I noticed that there was some big outlet mall, and they had a billboard that said "Shop Local," and it was an outlet mall, and I was like, oh, so I mean, it's even a branding thing that people have, you know, stolen, for lack of a better word, really, which has nothing to do, you know, because it was all big chain stores. None of them, of course, are small or local. So, I mean, it's such a thing that it's something that like a big chain, you know, mall is going to use that slogan because they know it'll bring people in. So I mean, we have a feel for what that is, right? Which is unique. It makes the city worth walking around in and interesting, and can't get that.
Absolutely. And culture and diversity, that's what makes San Francisco special. And we're kind of like, we're an odd city in the US because our streets look the way they look because, yes, of legislation. And formula retail stores cannot come into all corridors. There's very few corridors that they can move into. So we're not going to have the same box stores in all our corridors. But the other thing is our residents, they value individuality and authenticity. And I remember when I had my store, the community really rallied behind me and they supported what I was doing. And that was very touching.
That is really touching. So let's hear about the Fillmore Merchants Association. You're the executive director. What's the, what are the priorities? What are you working on? What is that? And then if you also can tell us about Next SF and that new project.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been the executive director of the Fillmore Merchants now for 5 years. And this is a really special year for us. We're celebrating our 115th anniversary. So for some people don't know that merchant associations exist in San Francisco. It's actually a very special, these are special organizations that are kind of unique to San Francisco. So there's about 33 associations all around the city, from the east side, west side, north, south, some of your favorite neighborhoods. And basically merchants have come together to form an association. And our association was founded after the 1906 earthquake. When the rest of the city was burned down, Van Ness, it was such a wide street, even at that time, it was a natural firewall. So the fire didn't jump over Van Ness. So that's why a lot of the buildings on the Pacific Heights side and the Fillmore side, they predate the earthquake. And so our corridor back in those days was huge. It was like over 20 blocks long. Like it went from Market all the way to Jackson, even down the hill to the marina. So the role of a merchant association is we help oversee the maintenance, security, and marketing of the corridor. We have about 250 merchants now in our corridor, and half of them are small businesses. Our boundaries are from Jackson to McAllister. So I might say that we have the most diverse merchant association in the city, as well as the oldest merchant association.
Is it the largest as well? It sounds very large.
It's pretty big. Yeah, it's pretty big, diverse. And, we value the culture of the Fillmore because, I always say, merchants are great. I'm in the business of merchants, but, what really sticks is culture, Marcy. So and each neighborhood corridor has its own culture. But in the Fillmore, we're super lucky because that culture is part of our cultural identity. Mm-hmm. So at one time, it was the Harlem of the West. A lot of the jazz greats played there. Yeah. And then later on, it became the birthplace of Summer of Love. Jefferson Airplane, Janis Joplin, they all played at the Fillmore Auditorium. So, and our, the jewel in the crown for us is our Fillmore Jazz Festival. Mm-hmm. During its heyday, which was only 2 years ago, we attracted 100,000 people to the corridor during July 4th weekend. Obviously, last year we couldn't do it. This year, I don't think it's going to happen. But the good thing is, for during the summer months, we're going to bring jazz musicians, and they're going to be playing up and down the street on Fillmore Street.
Nice.
Yeah, to touch on the history, the culture, and just make people comfortable being on the street again.
That's wonderful. So tell us about Next SF, which you managed to launch during the COVID shelter-in-place restrictions, like the height of them. Like, what is it and how did it start?
Yeah, devastating set of events during 2020, right? For 5 years, I was the director of business development for the Council District of Merchant Associations. That's the umbrella organization for all the 33 associations of the city. So we helped oversee maintenance, security, and marketing. And we created great partnerships with City Hall and our private public partners. And then during COVID, like I'm sure like all of us, we were all in startup mode. We had we had to think of new ways to communicate with our customers, and our community partners, and also our merchants to share resources and marketing and highlight them during this time of crisis. Um, so that's when I founded Next SF. And Next SF is an agency. We also call it a think tank because we create meaningful partnerships with our community partners, like the Chamber of Commerce, the GGRA, the GGBA, and then some partners in City Hall, the supervisors, and the mayor, of course. And then I like to work with private partners as well, because we're only going to get through this crisis when we collaborate. And that's how innovation is fostered, through collaborations. So we've had great collaborations with Soma West CBD, Japantown CBD, Tenderloin CBD, even Postmates, Wells Fargo, Alaska Airlines, DoorDash. And it's going to take the whole community ecosystem, Marcy, to get us through this crisis. Mm-hmm. Because now more than ever, merchants need relief and exposure. So these webinars that we do offer that. So we've created merchant spotlights, we've done neighborhood spotlights, and our upcoming webinar tomorrow is social media spotlights. So we're bringing together merchants that are using social media in creative ways to tell their stories, and creating content on social media.
That's wonderful. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm just going to jump to this. Folks can go to next-sf.net, and that's also, I believe, the social media handle. So, because I've been watching these webinars on Instagram, so next-sf is where you'll find the webinars and the walking tours and the merchant spotlights and all of those things. It's a really, I've really enjoyed it, especially during COVID. If if you're interested to find out what's happening in the city, what's going on, and who's doing cool stuff in terms of small businesses, that's really the place to go. Check it out.
Absolutely.
So one last question, which I think I already know part of the answer to, or what you might say at first, but what is the best way to support our neighborhood small businesses? I mean, shop there, right? If you can, but how else to support neighborhood businesses?
Yeah, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Merchants need now relief and exposure. So relief comes from the city, the state, federal government. So what regular folk can do is advocate on behalf of small business. Talk to your supervisor, talk to anyone. Whenever you see an opportunity, advocate on behalf of small business. Then make sure to order takeout. Now we can dine inside, outside, take advantage of the beautiful shared spaces that we have in the city. Many people have told me that, this is what San Francisco was always meant to be. We're the most European city in the world, and now we really do look like a European city. So take advantage of this, support. Also, the Board of Supervisors is voting pretty soon, I think in the next 2 weeks, to make shared spaces a permanent fixture in San Francisco. There's an 80% approval for shared spaces. You would think that's a no-brainer, but still we need to advocate, make sure that this gets passed. Also, we all have our social media platforms, Marcy. So when you like a business or you like a shopkeeper or something, post it on your social media, put it on, say, I had a great service, I had a great experience at this store. And something that I've recently wrapped arms around is Next Door. It's an amazing platform where you can highlight, your favorite businesses on there, because the people that are on Nextdoor they're devoted to the local community. So we have so many free digital tools, ways of communicating now with a larger audience. So I just encourage people to think outside the box and really utilize these tools to promote small business. And remember to join the mailing list for different merchant associations, follow them on social media, because it's really exciting. I just want to say, Marcy, in many ways, this is a renaissance for San Francisco neighborhoods, because now people are staying home, right? Working from home, a lot of them. And when they want to go out, they go to their local neighborhood to get a cup of coffee, they get some bread, they get lunch, buy a gift. So this is an opportunity for neighborhoods to really shine. And then other neighborhoods are really, really suffering because tourists and commuters are not coming into the city now. So those neighborhoods we should support as well, specifically Fisherman's Wharf, Chinatown, downtown core. Yeah, they need extra help from the larger community.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. Wonderful. It's wonderful to talk to you. Folks can find out more at nextsf.net. Also following the Fillmore Merchants Association and other merchants associations online. Check out the business improvement districts as well. Some of them have Instagram handles and websites, and yeah.
And one final thing, the mayor just announced her 30-day small business challenge.
Oh.
So she challenged all San Franciscans for the month of May. I think we should extend it forever.
Yeah.
But challenge yourself to shop from small businesses only. It can be done. Right? Let's just make conscious decisions.
What do you do without Amazon? What do you mean?
Well, you know, there's a place for Amazon, but be mindful of every dollar you spend.
But balance it. Exactly.
Balance. Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so great to talk to you. I really appreciate what you're doing, and you know, go small business. Go small business.
That's it. That's it.
At Pier 70, in conjunction with the Port of San Francisco, we are transforming a 28-acre parcel of land in the city's Dogpatch neighborhood into a new urban waterfront community. And to learn more, sign up for our newsletter at pier70sf.com and follow us on all the social channels at Pier70sf. And join us every Wednesday at 3 o'clock for Pier to Pier. Thank you again, Boss Caneros, for being here. It's been wonderful to chat with you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.